Song Yadong has now won back-to-back main event fights and 5 of his last 6 after a very convincing, great performance over Chris Gutierrez in the UFC Vegas 83 main event, where he picked up a unanimous decision victory. Let's talk about the fight, and more importantly, what could be next for Song Yadong. We've seen back-to-back very, very good performances, very clean performances from the very young 26-year-old Song Yadong, who has just completed his 13th UFC fight and still only has 2 losses to his name in the company. The guy is finally starting to get his flowers, it feels like. 3 straight main events, 2 of them in a row by victory. Big wins, over Ricky Simone, over Chris Gutierrez, back-to-back ranked opponents, and back-to-back, again, just great performances from Song Yadong, where he showcases just how well-rounded he is at such a young age to be this full of skill sets and weapons that he can display in the octagon. There was even a scorecard on here that was 50-44, giving a 10-8 round to Song Yadong. He had a big knockdown in round number 4 and just controlled the pace and the action through and through for 25 minutes en route to this victory over Gutierrez. On the losing side of this fight for Gutierrez, he has dropped 2 of his last 3, but to great opponents. Pedro Munoz and Song Yadong squeezed in between with Alaton Haley, a short notice victory that he did get earlier this year in October. So, at number 15, at 32 years old, there's still time for Chris to put things together, to climb the ranks, but the night belonged to Song Yadong, and it seems that he has his sights set on what he wants to be next. There's even some Twitter beef going back and forth, and it is the number 5 ranked bantamweight in the world, former champion Petr Yan. And I'll tell you right now, sign me up 10 times out of 10 to see that fight. We haven't seen Yan in a little while, and obviously Song is keeping pretty busy with 2 main events in 2023 alone. I'd love for that to happen early 2024. Number 7 versus number 5 in a very big spot, a very big opportunity. You want to look and talk about the rest of the bantamweight division right now. We have O'Malley and Vera booked for March. We have Sterling on the fence, but looking like he's going to commit to going up to featherweight at 145 pounds. We have Merab, who I don't know if he's healed yet or not, but had a hand injury, so he's sitting at number 2. You have Henry Cejudo, who had to pull out of a fight and was injured in August, sitting at number 3. And you have number 4, Corey Sandhagen, who did get a victory in August, but also sustained an injury. Won't be ready until, I believe, April or May at the earliest of next year, I think he said in an interview. That leaves Petr Yan and Song Yadong left to square off with one another, and I think it's a perfect fight. I think it's a very deserving 5-round main event style of fight, or at a minimum, a big spot on a pay-per-view where they can be a featured bout, because they deserve that. Very high-level MMA is what that matchup would be, and I think it's just great in so many aspects in terms of the X's and O's of the fight, the point in which both of them are in their careers. Petr Yan is still one of the best bantamweights in the world, but has a lot of red on that record over the past few years with some just weird circumstances and great performances by his opponents, including number 2 ranked Merab. So I think that is the fight to make. It makes sense that these are the 2 guys that are open and are acknowledging one another. I think the UFC will make that fight happen. Song Yadong, Petr Yan, that's what's next. That's not all, though, because we now transition to the co-main event, because Khalil Rountree, well, it's time to start talking about him in contender conversation. 5 straight victories, 4 of them by knockout in a multitude of different ways, including a body kick, including a leg kick, including a vicious knockout last night over Anthony Lionheart Smith on short notice. The biggest name value victory for Khalil Rountree's career, the biggest victory just in general of Khalil Rountree's career, and it happens to cap off 2023. It extends his win streak, moving into a new year at 33 years old, right in the prime of his career. Absolutely the best he has looked in all of these years that he's been in the UFC. How can you not love the story of Khalil Rountree, the way in which he presents himself and carries himself, the respectfulness for his opponents and for the fight game? the vulnerability to talk about his mental health and the issues that he's had over his career with this fight game. It's just a beautiful thing to see someone getting their stripes, earning their flowers, earning the respect of more and more fans with each passing fight, and honestly, the respect of his fellow fighters. And you better start respecting him if you're another light heavyweight, because he's coming. And I don't know if there's a lot of other people in this division right now with the power and the danger that Khalil possesses in his hands. It is nasty. When he lands, it connects and it hurts. He's so methodical the way in which he throws his strikes. It's very sneaky good. This all around game that Khalil Rountree Jr. has. He is a very, very well put together mixed martial artist, and it's finally starting to show. Come Tuesday morning, he's going to be ranked number 8 at a minimum after a performance like this. He talked about how great a fight would be with Alex Pereira, two guys that are known for their striking and knockout, saying the fans would love it. Dana and Mick, I know it sounds crazy, but give it a chance in your brains. He recognizes as well that that is unlikely to be his next fight, but to put that out there in the atmosphere and to make it known that that's what you're chasing is a very smart thing to do. I want to look here at the division right now at 205 pounds. As I say, he will jump to number 8. Johnny Walker is going to fight Magomed Ankalaev in the first fight night of 2024. That's number 3 versus number 7. So everyone else ahead of Khalil will be Nikita Krylov, Alexander Rakic, who is actually looking for a new opponent around February, since Jan Blachowicz had to pull out due to injury like we talked about on Friday's show. I don't even have to go any further. Jamal Hill is obviously still recovering from his Achilles. And there's Yuri, of course, who's coming off the loss to Alex Pereira. Yuri could step in and fight Rakic. We talked about that. Maybe he jumps in February or March. If Yuri can't get in there, they can't get that fight booked, give me Rountree versus Rakic. Alexander's one of the best kickboxers in the division, a very supremely underrated talent, the way in which he strikes and how high level it is. And Khalil Rountree's proving fight by fight just how damn good that he is. You put those two together, Rakic's return, Khalil's continuing to climb into championship status, championship contender status. I think that would be a perfect fight. You have this fresh momentum of Khalil extending his win streak to finish the year. You have Rakic looking for a fight with someone else. Honestly, I think I prefer to see that over Yuri and Rakic right now. Maybe I'm crazy. You can't go wrong with either of those matchups, but it's clear that if you look at the way the division's playing out right now, who's in, who's out, who's injured, Khalil Rountree could be one win away from earning a title opportunity against the likes of someone like Alex Pereira that he was talking about. I love this story, and it's going to be so fun to monitor in 2024. Let me know what you guys think should be next for Khalil Rountree Jr. And while we're here, we might as well just talk about the rest of it. Some quick hitters to throw in here as well. Those were obviously the big takeaways and what could be next for the main and co-main event. But there were other big winners on this card. Nasrat Haqparast extended his win streak to 3. He got his first knockout victory since 2019 against Jamie Mullarkey. Did it in under 2 minutes, disposed of him easily. That's a big win for Nasrat. I think he's someone, again, that's probably overlooked, but he is a very good fighter. Outside looking in at 155 pounds. Be curious to see what will come next for Nasrat Haqparast in the new year. Tim Elliott got a submission victory on short notice. It was at bantamweight, but this was number 11 versus number 12 in the flyweight division. And I'm just going to say it now and pair it with another takeaway from the card. Tatsuro Taira is now 5-0 in the UFC. 3 finishes. He got his first knockout, and it came in a big way last night. It's time to put him in the rankings. It's time to give him a ranked opponent next, and it should be Tim Elliott. That's exactly what we should do. They're going to be on the same timeline. They got a victory on the same night. They both got big finishes on the same night. Taira has earned his spot to be in the 125-pound rankings. Tim Elliott is the seasoned veteran, been there, done that, fought everybody, fought for a title. Give me Tim Elliott, Tatsuro Taira. That's what's next. I know Tatsuro called out for Mohamed Mohayev. He's booked to fight, I think, in March of 2024. So the timelines just aren't there right now. Give me Elliott, give me Taira. Battle for him to get into the rankings and a battle for Tim Elliott to hold his spot against a young up-and-comer. And there's one more flyweight I want to talk about to finish out the UFC Vegas 83 discussion, and it's Hyun Park, who is now 2-0 in the UFC, had 2 victories on the road to UFC in Singapore, 9-0, 8 straight victories by finish, 28 years old. This guy is a problem. He is so good. He's perfectly well-rounded. 5 knockouts, 4 submissions. He can do it everywhere. And at this age, he's just now about to enter into those prime years. We've said it for really the entire longevity, the entire length that this podcast has existed, even when Noah was here. Flyweight is the best spot it's ever been, and it's continuing to improve year by year, especially now that it's not just held up by Davison and Brandon. There's so many fresh faces. We have fresh champions. We have fresh matchups all throughout 1 through 15. Look out for Hyun Park, because just like Tatsuro Taira, he will slowly but surely make his way into relevancy where you can no longer ignore him, and you have to put him in the top 15 of men's flyweight. That's it for the takeaways from UFC Vegas 83. I know here on YouTube you're not used to an entire, breakdown of all the big takeaways. It's usually a main discussion, a co-main discussion, and other big featured bouts. But it was a quick kind of hitting card. It was one of those that slid under the radar. Those are the biggest performances, and they all deserve some shine here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think should be next for the big winners. Song Yadong, do you want to see him fight Petr Yan? Khalil Rountree stepping in to replace Jan Blachowicz and fight Rakic in January, February, March. Let me know what you think is next for those 2 big winners and for the rest of the quick hitters that we discussed, especially that beautiful men's flyweight division right now that is so healthy and surging with so many young talents. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss fight recaps like this, breakdowns, MMA news, and fight announcements. And I will see you guys in the next one, and it's going to be big because UFC 296 goes down this coming weekend.